sound of that tractor means it's time for us to go to work. Welcome to the Give Us the Dirt podcast powered by Hoopah Grading Company. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. So our guests today are no strangers to being in the spotlight. This team has been featured by various media outlets all over the country and recognized with numerous industry awards for their projects, their culture, and their commitment to excellence. C.W. Matthews Contracting Company is a leading heavy highway construction contractor operating throughout Georgia. With a team of more than 1,300 hardworking men and women committed to serving their communities, they take great joy in building safe, reliable infrastructure to, as they like to say, get Georgia home. For almost 80 years, C.W. Matthews has built state-of-the-art roads, bridges, airport runways, and more. Their projects are used by millions of people every day to get where they need to go. The work they do touches nearly every aspect of modern life, and they begin every day committed to doing it to the best of their abilities. Today in the studio, we have Dan Garcia, president of C.W. Matthews. Dan joined the company in 2013, and he brings a level of expertise to this studio that touches on all facets of construction management. But like so many of our Give Us a Dirt guests, his passion is for the people. Those people that he serves alongside of at C.W. Matthews, as well as those within his community. Dan was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and moved to the United States at the age of 17 to attend the Citadel Military College of South Carolina. And after graduating in 96 with a civil engineering degree, Dan began his career in construction, working in several states before finally setting his roots in Georgia in 2002. All the way from Marietta, Georgia. Dan, welcome to the Give Us the Dirt podcast.
Thanks so much. Woo, that's a big introduction.
That was. We did our homework.
I'm gonna have you come do my eulogy, man. I like it. That's very kind.
Well, I'll tell you, we got a great research team. They did some homework on you before you came in today.
It's like the FBI.
Yeah, I got a lot more here too. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming in today.
It's awesome being here. I just love spending this morning with y'all, and you have a great organization. Just look forward to spending a few minutes with you.
When's the last time you were in the Queen City?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's probably a Falcons-Panthers game at some point, but no, it's been a little bit.
Well, you could have come up yesterday. We had a big day here yesterday. We had the Panthers game where we got smoked, lost to San Francisco, and then we had the NASCAR race.
Yes.
So it was
a lot of traffic.
There was a lot going on
Yes.
here yesterday. Well, it's great to have you. You came this morning and brought your team up, and I have had a blast sitting in there and just being able to collaborate. It's been cool to see two companies just open up the playbook and say,
Absolutely.
Hey, this is what we're doing, and what are you guys doing? What do you think about this? That's been really fun to be a part of, and we're gonna talk more about it. First, I want to talk about you, and I know I gave a lot there in the introduction, but there's a lot more to this story. So you grew up in Venezuela.
I did,
and moved when you were 17. So tell me what you remember about growing up in Venezuela, and then what prompted you to leave.
So. Yeah, grew up there my entire life through high school. My mom's American. My dad was born in Spain and moved to Venezuela at a young age. My grandfather was actually in construction, and then my dad later on took over his company. It was a small little construction company, did more utilities for the commercial side, but I'm the youngest of five, and all my siblings had come to the U.S. already. So after finishing high school, my plan at that time and never materialized, and thank goodness that it didn't. But was to come to the U.S., go to the Citadel, study engineering, and then go back to Venezuela and work with my dad for some period of time, and then eventually maybe lead his small company. But God had different plans. While I was in school, Dad had a stroke, and some things changed there from a health standpoint. So they decided to come to the U.S. as well. And again, things there, as many people know, things changed politically. The landscape there was and continues to be terrible. So unfortunately, was not able to go back. But great place, a beautiful place, great people. A lot of my great closest friends were my friends from high school. Still friends to this day that I went to school there, but yeah, God would have it otherwise. So I went to the Citadel Engineering, and then got out of school and went to work for a construction firm. I was based out of Maryland, Pennsylvania, then South Carolina. Spent some time in Greenville, and then, like I said, came with them to Georgia in 2002. Great company, was with them for 17 years, and then in 2013 made the change, the only change I've ever made in my career after getting out of school, and got just an awesome opportunity to join C.W. Matthews, which has been really exciting and fun, and just fortunate to be part of that team.
I can't imagine. I'm sure that team, you've been a part of growing that team and really building that team, but what a great story. So was that the plan for you and your siblings, that at a certain, when you graduated from high school, you'd go to college in the States, and then was the plan to come back for everyone?
I have two older sisters, not really the plan for them, although they did come to the U.S., they got married, and for different reasons they ended up, my brother closest in age to me, who's 9 years older than I am, we have an awesome relationship, really, again, blessed there. My siblings and I get along very well, but he was the first one to go to the Citadel, so he was 4 out of 5, went civil engineering. I think his plan was to go back and help Dad, but then he met a girl in Charleston, and we all know how those things change lives. So,
Dad, I'm not coming back.
Exactly, Dad, I'm not coming back. And on the other hand, I really did not even want to come. Of course, at 17, you're not sure what path is going to take you, but I decided, well, yeah, I'll go to college, but then I do want to come back. And again, plans change, but like I said, it's been definitely for the best, and just blessed and really fortunate.
Yeah, what a great opportunity with the Citadel. I'm a huge fan in the Citadel. Did you ever consider anything outside of construction? Did you consider a military career?
I did consider military for a short period of time. A huge admiration for those that serve, but it wasn't that freshman year at the Citadel changed some things. So probably decided, hey, that's not going to be my path. I did know that I did not want to go the pure engineering route. I love construction. I like being outside and like being around people. So definitely knew that I wouldn't want to do the design route, but just fell in love with construction. When I got out of school, and like I said, just I love what I do. I can honestly say there's not a day I wake up that I dread going into work. I just love what this industry is. The people in the industry are just a lot of fun and just awesome all around folks. So.
That is one thing I can say about you, is that you really do love this. You don't just say that. Your personality just says, man, I love what I get to do. I'm happy. Dan, I don't know of anyone in this industry, and I've been in this industry, I guess 25, 26 years now, that has one bad word to say about Dan Garcia.
Well, that's
like
kind.
Everyone loves you, and you don't spend that much time in this industry without ruffling a few feathers. Is there anyone out there?
I'm sure there is. So there's some of the guys that work with me, they probably would tell you.
Okay, all right. I just needed to make sure, but I've never heard that.
Well, it's an awesome industry, right? I mean, The reality is you don't meet many people in the industry that rub you the wrong way or anything like that. It's just great men and women. I think if you do this, for the most part, I mean, you have to love it, right? Because you spend so many hours in it, early on in your career, and really still till today. But it's a lot of sacrifice to be part of this industry. I mean, you give up some things, but in return, I mean, how amazing to work with just great folks every day. And I do really mean that. I just love the people in this industry.
Well, talk about that. So you mentioned moving around quite a bit after you graduated. Where did you work? And because those early years, that's where the sacrifice carries all the way through. But at some point, you start to enjoy the freedoms of leadership.
Definitely.
But in the beginning, it's a grind.
It was a grind.
So where did you go? What were the stops along the way, and what did that time look like?
Those 17 years, I worked for different. It was for the Colas companies. I worked first for IA Construction in Maryland, and then in Pennsylvania. Then I joined Sloan Construction, which again, all these were part of Colas in Greenville, South Carolina, and then. What brought me to Georgia was Reeves Construction. So I was with them all those years. And yeah, I mean, I actually kind of a strange start. I started out in estimating, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense looking back because, I didn't have any of the field experience. I had, a little bit of what you learn in school, but that's, that really doesn't prepare you for anything once you get out other than discipline maybe. I started there, but just great mentors, some tough, some tougher than others, but that kind of helped me on that side. Of course, made a few mistakes that to this day I always remember when I review a bid now. I look at a few things that I know I missed a few times, but started in that area. But any second that I had that I wasn't estimating, I took it as an opportunity to go out in the field and kind of just ask questions. And if I had an opportunity to go into the shop, I would ask the equipment folks some questions. Or I wasn't afraid of doing that. I probably annoyed a bunch of folks, but I was just eager to learn. And so I spent some time in the field, and then when I moved to Pennsylvania, just north of Pittsburgh, same thing. I was doing a little bit of estimating, but got more involved in the field. And then when I was in basically 1998, those companies bought from Hanson, Sloan Construction, and Reeves, and got the opportunity to really spend time in the field, which I really enjoyed. So I was able to manage some projects on I-85 winding, spend some time with working with the traffic control crews and the paving crews, and working probably 60-70% out in the field, and then more as a project engineer type in the office, and that led on to getting more responsibilities. And in 2002, when I came to Georgia with Reeves, I had the opportunity to work in a division out of Augusta, Georgia, where I had responsibilities for asphalt plants and the shop and construction. So really at a fairly young age, 28, I got my first opportunity to really manage people and manage operations. And again, same thing there, learn from mistakes and learn from victories, and that was, tremendous help for where I am today.
That's a great progression through that, and I love the attitude of always learning. I got some spare time. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to learn this part of it. I'm going to go talk to this guy that's been doing this forever. And I think that's where the value is. That's what prepares you for that next step.
Yeah, and I encourage, our young team members now that are part of our company to do that. Is, just get outside of the box. Go, watch something else that you don't do normally. If you want to advance, then, really that's what you need to do is try to get involved and kind of raise your hand and say, hey, I might not know that, but if you ever need somebody, call on me. And that's really how I felt like what I did, and definitely encourage others to do that, is they don't be afraid to take that leap and learn something new and ask for the next challenge, even if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I didn't really, but I think, if you have a good work ethic and being willing to listen to others that have done this before, that's going to take you far in this industry.
Absolutely. So is there, as a president of C.W. Matthews, you touch all areas of the business. Is there an area that you particularly are more passionate about, that you truly enjoy more?
Wow.
You started in estimating.
Yeah. I mean, I love the estimating side still to this day. It is, for us, it's a lot of, pretty much most of the work that we get is by being the low bidder. So, on the third Friday every month, we turn in our bids for the DOT, and just those few minutes before the bids are read out, man, my heart's like, pumping. It's like,
you still get excited.
Like, oh, I get excited like the first day I did this. So that part's exciting. But honestly, the part I like the most is just going out in the field and being with the crews and just getting to know the guys and the ladies out in the field that kind of make it happen, right? I mean, without them, they don't need us in the office, and that to me is the most exciting part. Honestly, my background is more in the grading and asphalt side of things. To this day, the area that I know the least is the structures, the bridge side. So I like getting around those guys because I feel like I learned something new. I'm asking them questions. They probably feel like I'm the new guy being hired that day, because that's the area I know the least about, but intrigues me the most because I don't know as much about it than the other areas. But I mean, all of it is awesome. That again, dealing with the employees and course, dealing with customers, I enjoy that side of it as well.
Yeah, that ends up being more than anything. It's the people.
Absolutely.
Dealing with people, developing leaders to help you accomplish your goals as a company and your employees and your clients.
Yeah, and as you know, kind of things evolved, I guess, as you get older. I used to feel like I was the new kid on the block. Now I'm one of the older guys there. But also your priorities change. Like now what gets me excited is seeing people in our organization getting promoted and just, being part of or lending a hand to somebody that comes through the ranks and gets that new opportunity. That really is the most rewarding thing for me now. Building projects are awesome. Driving through one of the jobs that, the guys build, it's exciting, but nothing like, just seeing people develop and get opportunities. To me, that's the best part of the job.
Isn't that something, how that changes?
Absolutely.
You're right. I mean, you mature and your perspective changes, but it's not about remembering that project you were a part of or that acquisition you were a part of. It's the people that you helped get to that next level that you developed.
Definitely.
Well, you've certainly done that. I just met a handful of them in there, and you've got a great team, and I know you've had a big hand in getting them to be able to achieve their goals and success. Let's talk about the company now. So C.W. Matthews, great company. I spent a little time on the website. I've known the company for a while just from the reputation that you have in the industry. But I looked, so the company was started in 1946.
That's right.
By C.W. Matthews after he returned back from World War II. Yes. And I always love this right here. There were 2 partners and 4 employees.
Yes.
And now it's a company of 1,300.
Yes.
There's something nostalgic about, especially in construction, when you hear of companies that started with nothing. Just a couple people that were out with a piece of equipment or a truck, and they were building ponds and doing rural roads, and all of a sudden, one thing led to the next. But what's incredible about that is evidently there was a set of values and there was a culture that C.W. Matthews brought to the table. And you guys have somehow been able to maintain that over the last 80 years, almost. How is that possible?
I think it starts with the family, with the ownership. The chairman of our board is Bob Matthews. He's the son of Mr. C.W. and Mr. Bob will be 80 here coming up pretty soon. And he's definitely carried on those values and now passed them on, to those that work for the company. I think, those values of caring for people and we talk about this a lot as kind of what our values are and not that they're, in the walls in our company or anything like that, but we actually, live them out. So it's all about caring for the people that work for you, which CW and Mr. Bob do to this day. And then, we're in our 4th generation of family now. Some of Bob's grandkids have joined, and you see that in them as well. They're out there working in the field, so it's not like, anybody's got a cushy job. Everybody in the family has kind of come through the ranks. And then just internally, it's just, these values of caring for others, of we talk about, making the impossible possible is kind of on the projects, is just, we say, the word can't is not in our vocabulary. So it's one of these things where, we're, people are driven. I think if somebody doesn't fit into the culture, they kind of, people weed them out on their own. We don't have to do a lot of that because you can tell they're just not part of what we believe in, our group. Company's based on Christian values. So I think everybody, for the most part, tries to live that. Not that we're perfect by any means as people or as a company, but we really try to live those values. And, they just go passed down from generation to generation. And like you said, I think we've seen other companies, other industries not be able to do that. And again, I'm just so thankful that we've been able to do that. And, it's got to start with everybody. The whole team needs to believe in it, and we definitely talk about it. And honestly, we call people out when they're not living through it. I think that makes you much better. I want people to come tell me when I'm not living them, or, if I've made a decision that maybe it's not in the best interest. We really as a core group, we talk a lot about things that we're going to do and bounce ideas and all that. Is by no means, you do what I say and my word's the only one and follow this. No, we come together when there's important decisions, making sure that the whole team's buying into the concepts that we're trying to promote or evolve or that sort of thing.
I think that's important. If you're going to have a set of core values that are going to define you as a company, then let them be things that you can make decisions by, and you can base decisions on those values. Everything that we do, we here at Hoopaw Grading Company are based off a set of core values. Mm-hmm. Every decision we make, every hire, every fire, whatever it is they're made based on a set of core values. I'm glad you brought those up. I'm going to read those off here, and I'm going to ask you to do something a little different here. So I'm going to read the core values, and then I would love for you to be able to give me an example from within the company of someone living out that core value. So the first one is we care for others.
Okay. Ooh, I can tell you a bunch there. I mean, we care for our employees. I would say, we have a pastor that's Pastor Todd Rainwater that's part of our group, and I mean he's there to care for our people. To be there in times of need. We have an employee fund that's there from a financial standpoint to help our own employees. Employees contribute to it, and the fund helps employees in times of need. So I mean,
you have a full-time pastor.
We do
on staff.
We do.
So. Who made that decision?
It was this idea, kind of like I was telling you earlier, that it's more than building projects, right? So this has just been a couple of years ago. We knew Todd from outside of work, and he was just an awesome man, and we knew he would be a great fit in our company. So it's this whole idea that if you build good men and good women, then they will become good employees, and in return, they will do good work, and in return, the company will be profitable. But it's more this idea that, building people is more important than building projects. So I think that pretty much talks about this care for others. And I really mean this. When somebody's struggling at our company with something, the death of a child, a sickness, we have that right now in our company. Somebody close to you, you can't fake caring for others. It's a place where just people really feel the pain when somebody's struggling through something, and people are happy and rejoice when something's going on, whether it's in their personal lives or at work. Again, we're not perfect, though. I don't want to paint this picture of, everything down in Marietta is perfect. But when you have that, it's what makes it awesome to come. It's like a family, right? I mean, one of our guys, Jeff Bell, is one of our general superintendents in a video that we did recently that Bill would produce. He talks about we're like a family. We all fuss. He says in the video, we all fuss and fight, but at the end of the day, we love each other, and that's exactly what we have.
Well, I don't think you could have given a better example of we care for people, and I think that's incredible because a lot of times companies say we care for our people, but we care for them financially, right? We want to give them the means to be able to live and support their families, but it's so much bigger than that. If you're going to care for your people, you have to think about how do I care for them emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. Like all of that goes into having a healthy, happy employee.
Definitely.
That's great. All right, core value number 2, we go the extra mile. Give me an example.
That's going the extra mile. Again, it's just not cutting corners, not just doing it for the sake of, hey, I'm doing this job and I'm getting paid. We want to be known for doing a great job. The company's reputation is on the line. So if we're building a job, or I know we're probably known, we do a million projects and a million amazing projects, but we were called upon by the DOT a few years back when a bridge burned down in Atlanta, and the reason we did that was because of our reputation and just not cutting any corners. So I think that's probably the best example. I mean, I could tie all of these back to the first one. We care for others, about people. I mean, we go the extra mile, same thing there, right? We want to take care of our people, but I would think that's probably the best example in that area.
Yeah, that extra mile, that's that stuff you don't necessarily get paid for.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, we make the impossible possible. I love that one. That's probably my favorite core value. Tell me about that one.
Again, that's the one that says, hey, we're not going to say we can't do this. If we got a challenge in front of us, we're going to make it happen. So, you could talk about that on projects. I mean, the more complicated the job is, honestly, the better we do financially on the projects. I mean, we want to tackle projects that are difficult to do. But again, it's just kind of just not being afraid to tackle something. Now, you might tackle something and it might go wrong, but really the idea there is we're just not going to back down from a challenge. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean we're pretty focused on what we're good at, though. We're not going to go start doing vertical construction tomorrow. So that's not what we're saying. We stay focused on what we're good, but at the same time, if a project needs, we bid, for example, some jobs that are A plus B. So it's the price plus the number of days you're going to complete the project, and obviously the faster you complete it, that counts towards picking up the project. So we like those. We want to get out there. We know we have great people, so we want to tackle projects, do them faster than anybody, do them better than anybody. So that's kind of what's behind that value.
All right. So word of advice: if you're going to go work for C.W. Matthews, you have to eliminate the word "can't" from your vocabulary. I think that's awesome, because that right there, just that mindset, it unlocks imagination and creativity. Sure. And the fact that those are the kind of projects that not only are you not scared of, you want them. Exactly. Give us the ability to show off what we
love
can
that.
do.
And our people get excited about those kind of things. I know we've done multiple runway replacements at the airport and things like that. Just get our people fired up.
What about the last one? We stay sharp.
So I think that goes back to this, and we have that as part of the value, is kind of iron sharpens iron. So it's just learning from your mistakes and just making sure that that we hold each other accountable for the good and the bad that happens. So I think that probably summarizes that.
Well, thank you for doing that. That was great. I appreciate that. Those values, where did they come from?
This is really kind of interesting, because we had a mission statement until recently, and really had never set a value. So in this conversation with Bill, we decided to bring a small core group of employees. These were hourly employees, foreman, superintendent in, and it was definitely hard to pick this small group, right? Because we have great people, a tremendous amount of large group of awesome employees, but we kind of handpicked these folks, and it came from them. When we started asking them, hey, what do you think the mission statement should be, and what do you think the value should be, is, people spoke from their heart, and this is what came out of this. It wasn't, again, something that, the leadership at the company or Bob Matthews came up with. These were our own employees saying, hey, this is who we are. So that's where this originated.
Yeah, you guys didn't chisel these into stone tablets and pass them down and say, all right, now here are your values. This came from them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, you mentioned several projects. You mentioned a lot of changes. I know that you go to the website, there's a timeline of significant moments throughout the history of the company. And I know you've only been there going on, 10 years
yes.
now? But you know the history of the company. What were some of those? If you had to point at one of those moments that was really a game changer for the company, that changed the landscape of the company? What was it? A project? Was it a certain acquisition that you said, all right, this is gonna be different moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think from an acquisition standpoint, in 2006, Matthews acquired the assets from APAC, and really that doubled the size of the company overnight. So without a doubt, I would say that was one of the pivotal moments for the company. Since then, we've done a few other acquisitions, but from a project standpoint, probably the fifth runway at the airport, that was definitely prior to me joining the Matthews team. But that was again kind of a project that the company's been known for. It was a massive dirt project. Again, building the 5th runway of the Atlanta airport was no small task, but it's hard to just pick a project here and there. They did Atlantic Station. Since then, I would say we're the premier contractor in Georgia for design build work. We've done probably more design build work in Georgia than anybody else. So there's been some large jobs there, but it's impossible to pick one or two, right? I mean, when we had that, probably what we're known for in like the community was this whole bridge rebuild in 43 days when the bridge collapsed and it burned down. So we're known by that. But to be honest with you, as great as that was, and I love recognizing our employees for that, it was a bit of a tough time for those that weren't involved. And they were like, well, what about us? And I agree, because our guys that are paving I-75 right now at night, 1 foot away from traffic, I mean, those guys need to be commended. The guys producing the asphalt need to be commended. Our concrete crews and our grading crews. So it's so hard to just pick one or two things. So I've named a few, but the reality is, it takes all of that working together, the support divisions, quality control, the equipment side, those mechanics out there in the middle of the night getting a paver going. I mean, all those things together is what makes us great. I would say that some of those were definitely pivotal.
Those are significant projects there. Yes. And like you said, there's so much that doesn't get recognized with a project like that. But the airport work that you've done, the bridge project that you've done, those are projects that you're going to be remembered for one way or another. Right. It's either going to go really well or it's going to go really bad. And yes, you guys have been successful in some of those major high-profile projects. But the APAC acquisition, that's a big deal.
That was huge.
That's a big deal, and I can't imagine the stress that puts on you. But to double the size of the company overnight, it's not only just the logistics of it, but I mentioned this earlier, protecting that culture that you guys had built, that family culture. Was that a concern?
Sure it was. And again, I wasn't there at the time, but all the guys talk about that, and it was challenging without a doubt. I mean, they all talked about, not only did they do the APAC acquisition, but there was another smaller acquisition done within 2 weeks of that one. So you can imagine the turmoil, just getting people at the right place, logistics, and again, the culture side. But man, Matthews has done a great job at that. We've had some acquisitions here recently, and it's so hard when you do an acquisition, because you're trying to tell everybody, oh, this is going to be a great place, and we're going to take care of you, and maybe share some of those core values with them. But really, it's just words. Nobody believes it until you actually do it. So it's like hiring somebody. You're trying to attract somebody into the company. You got all these values and all these things, but people always, I think, have this question mark is, oh, are they just giving me a bunch of, lines, or are they really living it out? And we tried to do that. So for the most part, these acquisitions have gone well, because I believe that once, people join us and they say, hey, it wasn't a bunch of words. They're really trying to live it out. It's worked out well.
Yeah, I've seen those are pivotal moments for companies, right? You do an acquisition like that, and that acquisition changes who you are, or you're able to bring it in and let that group adapt to what's made you successful. And it sounds like it was the latter for you guys.
Thankfully. Yeah. It has been.
Hey, you mentioned recruiting. I want to talk about this, because this is probably one of the things that you guys do that I admire the most, and is so incredible. I remember the first time I saw a post about your signing day.
Yes.
And I thought, man, that is cool. So high school students, there's a signing day where they actually, they put their hard hat on. They make a commitment. I'm going to work for C.W. Matthews on this. Tell me about the work that you guys are doing in the high schools. It's incredible.
It is incredible, and it's a game changer for us. So, as our industry has challenges recruiting folks, and I think you guys are doing an awesome job. We're doing a fairly good job, but it's this idea that, hey, where's the future, foreman and superintendent and general manager, and heck, the future president of the company going to come from? And we have some folks retiring, and we've been talking about, everybody's talking about it, but you can't sit on the sideline. You actually have to come up with, some answers for this. So we have brought somebody in. Jeremy Whitaker has done an amazing job. Jeremy is a teacher at one of the local high schools, and you know, the fruits that we're seeing from recruiting at high school is a game changer for us. So we start with work-based learning, then we're recruiting straight out of high schools, and just giving these young men and women an opportunity to join our industry at an early age. You know, basically the pay is pretty good for somebody that age. They definitely see huge opportunities. But all that started with meeting Jeremy, like you said, at a signing day, through working with him. And basically that's a day where we're just honoring and getting these young men and women excited, you know, getting the whole jersey and the hard hat and saying, hey, you know, if you go the athletic route, it's for a chance to possibly one day make it. Whereas here, hey, the only thing is it's you. You know, that's the only thing holding you back from being this foreman or superintendent. We're going to give you the opportunities if you come join us. So, again, Jeremy's been instrumental in making the connection with these teachers at the schools, these work-based learning folks at the high schools, making that connection. And you know, we now over 100 high school students that have joined the company. Our retention is higher with them than in any other of the employees that we're kind of keeping with the data and retention and those sort of things. So again, it's just offering them an opportunity, showing them that, hey, there's a future in this. And the reality is, you know, we have one young man that's made foreman already with us in 3 years. We have a couple of other folks that are close to achieving that goal. And, you know, both from a financial side, they're doing well, but really just from giving somebody a chance and an opportunity to be part of, you know, a good company in a great industry.
That's so cool. And you guys, in my opinion, you guys are the gold standard for recruiting out of the high schools. I think you guys have figured it out. You've gone beyond just introducing high school students to the industry. You've created excitement around it. And I think that's the piece that's missing. It's one thing, everybody around the country is trying to figure out how do we introduce them to our industry. But you guys have created a sense of excitement around it that I think locks them in. And not only does it lock them in, it locks in mom and dad. And you have a saying that I thought was really great. I wrote it down earlier when we were talking. It's roots to fruits.
Yes.
You don't just go in and give them this big sales pitch to come join the company. You walk with them through this process. You develop them. It's a journey that, I mean, you maintain that relationship with them all the way through it.
You have to have that. Again, you know, you form the relationship at the school first, and not at the high school principal or assistant principal, at the teacher level. Get connected with them, get connected with the students. But you're right, Jeremy's passion for this industry, but for the student, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. What he's doing is what Pastor Todd is doing, is that he wants to create better men and women. He wants to encourage them. So it's not you know, if you go to the high school once a year and you talk to them for 20 minutes about construction, you're not going to bring anybody in. But if you go in there and, like you said, he's making it exciting. I mean, he's doing tape wars, he's doing remote control equipment, he's bringing the simulator to the high school. So then you get these students excited about it, and then you stay in touch with them. You try to get them in through work-based learning, and then eventually those students will come full-time after high school. And, I mean, great success there. It's exciting for us. I mean, if it's exciting for them, it's exciting for us to say, hey, you know, this whole conversation of what are we going to do 10 years or 20 years from now when these experienced operators retire or foremen. Well, even those experienced operator and foremen are not now buying in, and they're putting their arms around these young men and women and bringing them alongside, kind of with this whole idea, same thing like we were talking earlier, is building great projects, profitable projects. I mean, that's what keeps us in business. But what better legacy to leave somebody is to say, hey, I trained, that guy started as a laborer and now he's a superintendent and I had a hand in it. And when you have foreman and superintendent buying into that and saying that, which we do, then, you know, I think the future looks bright.
Yeah, that's not an easy assignment to get everyone to believe that, but you've got a set of core values that people have adopted. That's who they are. And so they believe it's caring for people. It's keeping each other sharp and doing all these things to help develop that next generation. Well, hats off to you. The program is amazing. I'm gonna see if I can steal certain parts of it, because you guys have done an amazing job setting the standard for that. All right, so this is the part where we say, give us the dirt. We're gonna dig a little deeper here. What would you say? What does it take, according to Dan Garcia, to be successful in the construction industry?
I think you have to be passionate about it. I mean, it's not one of these things where, you're lukewarm. You either love it or hate it. I've always said that. People that do this, especially if you've done it for a while, it's because you really enjoy it. I think obviously your work ethic has to be there. I mean, it's not for the weak, definitely. I mean, it's got to be something that you're willing to work hard, because I mean, it is tough work. It's hot out there. It's dusty. It's challenging. It's easy to get down. You might we start. I join every once in a while. We take turns as the officers of the company attending new hire orientation, and I tell new people on their first day, I said, hey, there's going to be a day here in the next 30, 60, or 90 days that you're going to get home and you're going to say, this is not for me. And all I ask them is just give it one more shot. Talk to your supervisor, talk to the foreman. I try to encourage them, because there's going to be bad days, but it's such an awesome industry. So again, to summarize, I mean, passion, definitely, work ethic. And then, I think people that love doing this is they again, kind of this concept of they care for others they work with, they enjoy the people that they work with. The whole idea we talked earlier about, you got to be open to learning, ask questions, get involved. And again, if you want to be successful, raise your hand when they're saying, hey, we're looking for somebody to do X, Y, Z. Hey, we're looking for somebody to pave nights and weekends. Not everybody's raising their hand for that. Jump out there and say, hey, I don't know much about asphalt paving. I don't know much about running a grading crew, but give me a chance and let me show you that I have the willingness to learn and that I'm going to be passionate about it. And if you have that, I mean, I got this little frame in my office that talks about 90% of what makes somebody successful is attitude, having a positive attitude. 10% is what you know. And I truly believe that if you have the right attitude, the passion, the work ethic, the technical side, how to load trucks or how to lay pipe or how to pave a road, we can teach you that. Is the passion and the attitude that, it's got to come from within.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to, as a follow-up question, I was going to ask you about that passion part of it, because we all, yes, it requires that to be successful, and everyone would love to have passion about what they do, but that's a choice, sure. Right? That's that attitude that you just mentioned, and how have you maintained that every day? And I sit here and I was listening to you talk about the stories of the people, and I think to maintain that kind of attitude and to have that passion not go away, like, you got to have the right perspective about it. You have a different definition of success than most leaders in our business, right? A lot of people are driven by the success of that project or the bottom line, which those are important, but it's not the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is the people. I mean, your mission, right? We didn't even read this. We're here to help our people build great lives as they build the infrastructure that gets Georgia home. That's success. That they're building great lives. Is that how you maintain that passion?
It is. Because, I mean, that, we can't kid ourselves. We don't want to kid ourselves. I mean, people work to support their families, to make a better life for them and their kids. So, if we build that, what the mission statement says, if we care for these people and build better men, better women, then, yeah, the profits are going to come. The business is going to run better. So they go hand in hand. If people are not satisfied or unhappy coming to work, I mean, they're not going to be productive. They're not going to want to go the extra mile and put that extra effort that it makes. I mean, margins in this industry are so small. It takes so little to go the other way. So you got to build the people first. The rest of it will take care of itself. Like I said, obviously, we need to make a profit, to continue to invest in the people and the equipment and all that. But that can't be the only focus, or there will be no profits. The focus needs to be, and again, it can't be fake. It's got to be real. It's on the people and building them better. And again, not everybody that works for us is passionate about this industry or even passionate about our company, but those that succeed are. And, back to the iron sharpens iron, I think we have this group that, looks at each other, and when one person's passionate, that's contagious. When you have a bad apple, that ruins everything else. So it's keeping your mind and your culture focused on that.
Dan, so tell me this. So your passion is evident in everything that you do. Talk about your passion for this industry. Is there anything, tell me what, as the industry as a whole, what gets you excited about our industry, looking down the road, and then what gives you the most concern about our industry?
What makes me excited is that I think really it's an industry that in good and bad times, that it can survive. I mean, it depends obviously on the mix of work you have, but the reality is that the companies that do this well, they survive any downturn that's out there. I mean, I think definitely a bunch of lessons learned there through the last downturn. I think a lot of companies, and obviously it was very concerning during the downturn. They were getting rid of employees and trying to reduce workforce and all that, and then found themselves 2 years later trying to hire people. And I think during God forbid that happen again, and it's going to probably happen again at some point during our careers. But if there's a downturn, I think the way to focus on that will be different the next time. Is you got to stay loyal to the people that have gotten you there. But what excites me is that I see a young 22-year-old become a foreman and now have a child and support his family. That I see just the opportunities in front of those that choose this industry, because I think at times we have failed. For many years, it was seen as an industry that, hey, that's my last resort. And I'm starting to see the narrative change there as, hey, not everybody has to go to college. I went to college. I'm not discounting that. I think, that's important if that's the path you choose. But there's huge opportunities if you decide not to go to college that you could be running this company one day. It's all about passion and attitude. What things concern me, I was more concerned about it a few years ago than I am now, is hey, the equipment doesn't build these roads. I mean, these asphalt plants, that's not who's manufacturing this asphalt, it's people. So if we lose the focus and don't prepare for bringing the next generation of employees in, the companies that are not doing these things, they're not going to survive, right? And again, you can sit on the sidelines and talk about, oh, we can't find employees, or it's hard to find employees. And I'm not saying it's easy, but we got to do something about it. So you can either jump in and try to figure that out, or if not, you're gonna be left without a future. Because I mean, like I said, you can buy all the equipment in the world, but if you don't have the people to run it, it's not going to be successful. So, but I'm very optimistic. I really, really am. I'm seeing huge strides in that area. I think the work is going to be there. We have the biggest backlog we've ever had as a company, so the work's there. We just got to figure out how to build it, and how to build it is by having great people, and that's what we're trying to focus on.
Great answer. Thank you. All right, so last question. What's next for C.W. Matthews? What can we be looking for? You guys still growing, still in acquisition mode? Anywhere else but Georgia?
No, probably not. I mean, that's not to say we never would, but I mean, we're trying to focus on what we do well. For us, it's not about increasing revenues or some revenue number that we're trying to reach. That's the last thing really on our minds. Is we're more focused on, hey, how do we continue to do what we've done well, not get too far out of line on the things we do. Just continue to perfect that side. Again, continue to build people. We've got plenty of work, so that's not an issue. Is definitely staying focused on what we do well and continue to do that. Now, that's not to say if we had an opportunity to do an acquisition locally in the state of Georgia, we would jump all over that. There's a few areas where we struggle to get subcontractors to price work that we're kind of looking to see if maybe we self-perform a lot of the work we do, all the grading, bridge structures, concrete. There's a few areas that we don't self-perform that we're interested in, but for the most part, is again more than anything is what does the future look for us is really developing people to continue what we've started. We want whoever's in this role 25 years from now to say, hey, I've been left with a company that's stable, that has good men and women, that that I can run for the next 50 years and make it successful just like it has been. So that's really what we're focused on right now.
I know that your team members that are listening to this podcast, that's got to make them feel great. That the focus is not on the growth, it's not on the acquisitions, it's about them. Yes. And it's about providing a place for them to be able to achieve their goals and careers. So I know that they're feeling good listening to you say that right now. Dan, thank you for being on the podcast. Your passion is absolutely contagious. And so my advice to myself and to anybody that's listening is we need to channel your attitude and your perspective about this stuff, because it is hard. It's hard work. It's a grind, but there's passion there. There's things to get excited about every day. And we get to experience those in the leadership positions that we're in. And so I thank you for sharing that with us today, that perspective and that attitude.
Thank you for having me. You have an amazing organization. I've been keeping up with y'all on social media. Again, I see it's not just words here, it's action. I just walking through your halls today, I kind of sense that. So just grateful that you've opened the door to us to come here, exchange some ideas, and our door is always open to you. I wish you and your employees nothing but the best, and just been fun just hanging out with y'all today.
Well, thank you again. Next trip, we're coming to see you guys.
Sounds great.
All right, Dan, thanks again for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Give Us the Dirt. Visit our website at giveusthedirtpodcast.com and subscribe to this podcast on Apple and Google so you never miss an episode.